Yeah, I'm having some sort of sound issues, but nonetheless, I'm here, ladies and gentlemen. Today, we're going to basically go over the news. I like to go over the news to kind of give the family what's happening in the world. I usually just use kind of Google News, and we'll go through this. So I know a lot of you guys are watching football, enjoying your Sunday. Cooking out these last few days. These early days of fall. We've actually into fall time now. And I know where I'm from, it's kind of probably in the 50s during this time. But here in Texas, it's still in the low 80s, around 83 degrees Fahrenheit to be exact. So anyway, if you guys can hear me, let me know, because I was having some sound issues there, but hopefully you guys can hear me. So let's get into it. All right. First, we have the stories coming out of Ukraine that they've retaken a Russian ran city for quite some time here. When I mean by Russian ran city, I just mean that the Russians have taken over that Ukrainian city, but the Ukrainians have once again regained control of that particular city. Now, if you notice, this war between Russia and Ukraine is not really getting that much news coverage. I mean, not from what I've seen. Usually it's on all social media platforms and mass media. And I think it's because the American people are really not too interested in it unless they have family members over there that are Russian or Ukrainian. But for the most part, we're like, okay, you're forking over, hundreds of millions of dollars. And, this particular country is not even part of the UN. Okay. So when we look at these, we kind of just, man, when is this going to be over? Right. And we also have to know the amount of support that the U.S. government has given Ukraine in order for them to really give Russia a run for their money, who's also another military superpower. So that's something to kind of, look at as well. And this, to me, is the most important thing going on right now, family. It's the crisis in Florida with Hurricane Ivan. I know this hit around a buddy of mine. Me and him served in the military together. He lived in the Tampa area, and I think his house, as far as I know, really didn't have too much damage, but he lost his shed. He said his trampoline flew in the ocean somewhere. But nonetheless, this is where the American tax dollar should go. Help those people who are truly in need. I looked at a lot of footage from all these different news agencies, and I've seen that a lot of people in Florida are hurting. They've lost their homes. They lost their, their houses. They lost their cars and trucks. They lost their boats. Because some people, just like in California, in Florida, they live on their boat. So their boat is their house. And for some of them, their transportation. So when we look at these things, family, when it comes to our tax dollars, when it comes to the government and how they're going to allocate, the one thing that I'm always for is helping out Americans first. I understand that other countries are in dire need of support. But if we can't take care of home, how in the hell are we taking care of other countries? That's just the way that I see it. Thank you, K-Dub. I appreciate it. That's just the way that I see it. And all people may not agree with that. But if I'm paying my American tax dollars, I'm not paying them for Russia. I'm not paying them for the UK. I'm not paying them for the Ukraine. I'm not paying them for Uganda. I'm just not. I'm paying them for America. That's what I'm paying them for. Okay. We're just going through the news, family. Now, this is crazy. I didn't want to get too deep into this particular topic here because I want to do a little more research on this. But Burkina Faso is a African country, and he's been told to step down or they're going to assassinate him. So he's like, you know what? I'll step down. I just want to know if myself and my family would be safe. Now, this is not new to us right here. The National Archives, some records from Trump White House are still missing. Of course they are. The Republicans are just as, corrupt as the Democrats. Doesn't matter. You know what? I don't think that politics can operate without corruption. I feel like I'm about to say something profound, so hold on to your seats. I don't think politics can exist without corruption because corruption is political. Because corruption is about power. It's about money. So by politicizing corruption and now politics is corrupt, it's just an organized way of you controlling your landmass, you setting yourself in positions of power and be rich all at the same time. And the difference between the black market, people in those corrupt circles, is that this part of corruption deemed those things to be bad and or evil and not profitable. You see what I'm saying? So there's two political sides. There's the dark side, then there's the legalized corrupt, which we call politics. But they all operate in the underworld. When you look at a lot of these scandals, whether it be in Hollywood or in the political space, they're all somewhat connected, right? When I think about these missing files, what's the guy that hung himself, Epstein? Wasn't he connected to Trump? And I'm not stating that Trump was there messing with little kids. I'm not stating that. But I'm just showing you the connection, how these people operate all in the same circle. That's because they are three things. They can be one of the three of the three, two of the three, but they're one of these three things. They're rich, they're powerful, and they're famous. You know, people can be broke, and because they're famous, they can get shit for free. Michael Jordan could be a negative 100 million in the hole, and I guarantee if he goes to any Foot Locker and let me speak to the owner, it's Michael Jordan. Hey, I just need to pick up these shoes real quick. Oh, yeah, go ahead, Mike. They're your shoes anyway. Let me just call management. And of course, management like, yeah, let Michael Jordan have one of his shoes. And I'm going to tell you how these rich and powerful people really do things, right? They say, hey, I'm going to bring a lot of attention to your restaurant, but I want to make a deal with you. What's that? Once a month, I want to come here and eat. But because I'm going to make it publicly known, which is going to drive a lot of customers your way, I'm not going to pay. Oh, yeah, we can do that because we know we're going to make 5 times the amount if you didn't come, right? Since you're here, we're going to make 5 times the amount. So you can use your fame as influential, as coercion, as manipulation. So all those three things matter. It's very important that you understand that. But all of these guys are corrupt. We start hearing about Brent Favre, how Brent Favre essentially has stolen state funds from Mississippi, the poorest state in the union, the poorest state in America. And as far as we know, Brent Favre, his tenure in the NFL, he's made over $100 million. Now, I'm not going to get too deep inside that story because it has to deal with embezzlement of state officials, people who ran the welfare program there in Mississippi. It has to deal about him trying to fund money for his daughter's tennis court. Like it goes. And just as history repeats itself, of course, publicly he comes out and states that, oh, I had no dealings with that. I don't know nothing about that. Then they say, okay, well, we have the evidence where you mentioned it right here, where you said it. Oh, okay, well, let me pay back this 1.3 million. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, family. It was a lot more than 1.3 million, but they saw directly that Brett Favre was supposed to go and give these motivational speeches in Mississippi, multiple, like 10 almost, or more than 10. He never went to one of them, but he was getting paid for it. It's kind of like this. You work for IBM. You know, one of the mid-level to, senior level personnel that works in finance. You have a dirty secret that he killed or stole or did something that he shouldn't have not done that could land him in jail. And you say, hey, I don't want to come to work no more, but I still want to get paid. I can do that. Even though you don't show up to work, you keep on getting paid. And that's what Brett Favre did. He didn't show up to none of those motivational speeches. He was still getting paid. And here's the thing. He know he didn't show up. And he knew that he was getting paid. And you say you didn't know. Get the fuck out of here, man. I mean, when you get caught in a lie, oh shit, you got me. You got me. I should have probably went about that a different way. Yeah, you got me. Again, family, we just chopping up the news today. There's a lot going on in the world. And I don't know how this is the story, how Kanye West bonds with his kids. I never want to be that rich because I don't want to get stupid, right? Meaning that I think the richer you get, the stupid you get for some people, right? Kanye West bonds with kids. One of his kids is named North, Saint, Chicago, Four, and Palms. Like, that's their names. Can I show you this? What is this? Okay, he bonds with his kids. North is 9, Saint is 6, Chicago. I mean, it's like, it's almost like reading a football game. Like in the NFC East, we have Saints playing Chicago. The score is now 6-4. This reminds me of a biblical text, Psalms 3, verse 10. Don't ask me why I think that's funny. I know it's stupid to me. But anyway, that's the way I looked at it. All right. They talk about Putin has his back against the wall. Okay, let's move to business. Family, we're just leisurely going through the news here. Maybe I'm just background noise for you. Hopefully, you find some sort of information or entertainment out of this. Because again, I'm just randomly picking news stories here. These 20 stocks in S&P 500 tumbled between 20 and 30 in September. Okay, let's go into that. I think that's important to know. My stock portfolio, family, has been doing horribly bad. As you guys probably been watching some of my later broadcasts on finances. So here, let's see, S&P 500, the Dow Jones, this composite index from NASDAQ. FedEx was down. See, VFC, I'm thinking, is that Vanguard? I don't know. Lumen Technologies, of course, this is Ford. All of these are down, family. Charter Communications, Adobe, Carnival Corporation. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people have been going on a lot of cruises lately. Okay, so I don't know why Carnival is doing bad. I thought if anything, they'd be doing good. AMD, we know that's a semiconductor organization. See Caesars Entertainment, and then Boeing. Okay, some of these companies, even though they're down right now, a lot of these will always bounce back. Okay, now hate to give you the bad news here, but did you know that Ford is the only American car company? Ford. And some of you are like, oh man, I got a GMC. I got a Chevy. That's American. No, it's not. Yeah, man, it's made by GMC. Okay, and Chrysler is made by Chrysler, and Dodge is made by Dodge. But who owns those car businesses? So did you know that Chrysler, Dodge, all of those were once owned by Fiat, and I think Fiat sold them to another Italian company. And GMC, they're actually 50% owned or more by a group of Chinese businessmen. And Ford is the only car company that the owner, CEO, COO, FFO, all the O's are actually all American. So when people tell me I'm gonna go buy me an American car because I have no idea why, I'm pro-America myself, but that don't mean everything I have to buy or get has to be American, because unfortunately, America hasn't really made good cars other than pickup trucks for quite some time. Even with Ford, we remember all the issues with the Geo Metro. That was made by Ford. We knew all the problems with the remember the Ford 500. They try to marketize that as a luxury vehicle in the last couple of years. I'm just saying, family. Let's move on. Okay, here's something very important here. Can someone help me out with this? So Tesla sells record number of cars but falls short of expectation. Why are Americans buying electric cars in very large scale numbers? Okay, and the only reason why I'm asking is because the infrastructure is not there in order for you to charge your vehicle on the normal route that you take, whether it be to work, cross country, where you drive for holidays, vacations, etc. They're doing the same method they did when they first brought out production cars. Is that we understand that only the rich will be able to afford this. And at that time, you'll have your vehicle, oil, gas with you as you travel. So cars were very expensive, as well as oil and gas at that time, because the infrastructure wasn't there. But as more rich people started to buy vehicles, that brought down the cost. And they used that money to what? Start to build small businesses, and those grew into big businesses and now corporations, and the infrastructure begins to form for gasoline and to start to fill up gasoline cars. So that is what they're doing right now. They're taking electric cars and they're marketing and advertising and pushing on the American people so they can use the money generated from these electric vehicles that mostly people who are making over $100,000 are buying, right? So we're looking at upper middle class. We're looking at upper middle class that's driving the infrastructure for electric vehicles. Because quite frankly, you don't see nobody making $70,000 or less with a Tesla, a brand new one. No, you won't see that. You won't see someone who's making like 70 or 80 grand with a brand new Tesla, unless it's like the cheapest model. And they literally just have the steering wheel, seat, and a seat belt. Like, hey, where's your 19-inch, 17-inch LCD screen? Oh, this model didn't come with that. Okay. But that's how they're going to essentially build the infrastructure when it comes to electric cars. I'm actually in the market somewhat for another vehicle, for a new vehicle, and I'm really leaning towards hybrid. Well, I've made my decision to be hybrid, but the problem is they have a BMW X7, X6, something like that, and it's a hybrid, but it's a plug-in hybrid. And my advice, family, is never to buy a plug-in hybrid. It defeats the purpose. You might as well go ahead and buy an electric car, because they do have non-plug-in hybrids where your gas tank may be anywhere from 8 to 12 gallons. And then as you start to adjust to your driving habits, it switch over to the hybrid and it no longer use gasoline. So a vehicle of my size, mid-size sedan, if your vehicle was kind of getting like 24, 26 miles to the gallon, most likely you can double that with a non-plug-in hybrid. But if I got to plug in my hybrid, again, it may not take a largest charge as an electric vehicle, but guess what, family? You stuck like Chuck. You're going to have to just keep filling up your car with gas. So you either might as well keep your gas guzzler or go full electric when it comes to a plug-in hybrid. All right, let's see here. We got K-Dub in the room. We got Jermaine Anderson. Good evening to you as well, sir. Today we're just chopping it up, family, going over basic news stories. My Giants won today. I'm still not sold on them being good this year yet. I'm a harsh fan. I see Jay Darnell in the room. And family, if you're new or if you're a regular, just go and hit that like button and subscribe button. And also, family, do not forget to hit the notification. Okay, I'm trying to come up with a schedule. I know I just pop in. I kind of like it to a certain extent, but I may come up with a schedule where I'm going to stick to. So please put on your notification bell. Let's see what Jay Darnell is talking about. Propaganda has been pushing all vehicles will go electric by 2030, and they're still opening new gas stations where I'm at. Right. That family, that is a form of propaganda. If you guys have any questions, please leave them in the chat. We're going to kind of do an open forum today, guys. So anything you want to talk about, because that's what we're doing. We're just going over the news. I do agree with Jay Darnell that it is a form of propaganda that, America's going to be all electric vehicles by 2030. Here we are in 2022, 8 years from now. And like he said, I've actually seen new gas stations, not electric stations. Now, the one thing for me, what I'm not understanding is, even with some of these new gas stations, why not some of the pumps are electrical? Think about it like this. If you have a gas station and it has 4 lines of gas pumps, why aren't that last row electric? And then here's another part of the industry that I absolutely hate. So your gasoline tank is literally a metal or aluminum, little thingamajiggy. It's just a container. It's a metal container. That's all your gasoline tank is. And then there's a line that's ran up to where you put the gasoline pump inside of. It's just a hole for fuels to go in, right? But with all these electric vehicles, you have to have all these adapters in order to charge the vehicle. And you got to go to certain charging stations because they may not have your adapter, and so on and so forth. I already know what's coming, family. You know how you travel internationally and you get that international adapter, UK, Asia, Africa, whatever, right? It got all the country you can switch it to. I use them all the time when we travel. Someone's going to create an electrical adapter for cars. It's going to look funky and crazy at first because we have all these vehicles with all these different adaptations of what the electric pump or charging your vehicle looks like. Today, I had some packages from Amazon come in, and the vehicle the Amazon driver was in was an electric truck that was powered by Rivian. And I know you guys are familiar with Rivian. I covered their stock here, but Rivian is that new American car company that just came out in production. I think people are now getting their trucks. The R1T Rivian, that's the one that the middle console, you could hide people inside of it. or they have grills coming out and camping mechanisms, etc. But nonetheless, I had to remember that Amazon, I believe, gave Rivian like 800 million. Let's look that up. But they gave them 800 million to essentially share that technology and be in on the investment. But since we're here, I want to look it up very quickly. Hold on for a second. Because I just saw this truck and I was like, okay, they already have the trucks out. Oh, wow. Okay, so I'm looking at some different numbers. I'm totally off here, family. Uh, it states here, oh, yeah, okay, I was right. I was roughly in the ballpark. It says Amazon invested more than 1 billion in Rivian as part of strategic partnership between the two companies. Like I said 800 million. Okay, I was off a little bit. Somebody like a little bit. We're talking about hundreds of millions. Yeah, I was off a little bit. Then it states here that Amazon takes 7.6 billion loss on Rivian stake from Q1. But this is last year. So I just kind of wanted to show you guys that very quickly. Okay. Because a lot of times we need to understand how industries are moving, and you can learn that through stocks. When I do these stock reviews, family, I haven't really done them like I used to in the past. But nonetheless, when we cover companies and organizations, don't just tie that to finances, even though everything goes back to money. But you can tie that into your everyday living. Like, okay, so I saw a truck that was powered by Rivian, and I know that Amazon invested money in Rivian. But where's the infrastructure for the electric vehicles? How Amazon's charging? Is Amazon going to come up with their own charging stations? We got all these companies like Blink Charging, Power BI. We have Power BI. That's a Microsoft program. But we have all these companies in the mix when it comes to this electrical grid, just like gasoline, BP, Shell, Exxon. But this industry is quite different because when we look at this, they're now pushing because of the Green New Deal or greenhouse gases or global warming. I believe in all those things, by the way, just in case somebody was wondering. I do believe the things that we do on Earth does affect the environment. I do believe that. But because of these notions, and we have scientific evidence that because of all the fumes and toxic gases that we're releasing to the atmosphere, that we are literally changing the fabric of the world. So I understand these things, but to put legislation in order that all vehicles on a road by 2030 will be electric, I do believe that's propaganda. Here's another thing. I know you guys been following over there in Sweden, the Netherlands, those countries in that area, Greenland, Iceland, etc. They're now chipping their citizens. Of course, they're volunteering to do it initially here, but they are chipping their citizens. And so I read a story a couple of days ago about how some electric car companies, and I don't know if I didn't read a list, but this is what they stated, that in the near future, people will be able to start their vehicles with the chip that's implanted them by their government and state officials. You're going to start your car by the chip that's embedded in you. And let me tell you something, family. Just like anything else, we're talking about evolution. We talk about enhancement of technology and AI. When we talk about these things, if they starting in your wrist, they're going to, eventually convince us that the chip works better in your brain. And, there's some intelligent people in the world. They probably can control your ass by the chip in your wrist, but they really want to control this thing. And where technology is right now, if they inject something into your wrist and say, oh, yeah, that's your chip, How do you know if they haven't released microchips? I mean, excuse me, nanobots that will travel up to your brain and make the direct link and correlation for them to control you? Hope everybody got their 10-4 kufi on right now. That way the radio waves don't hit you too hard. Oh, man. Okay, we got Lisa D. What's going on, Lisa D? Nice to see you. So when we look at these things, family, man, it goes deeper than what we kind of look at on the surface. Because a lot of times when people talk, like, what the hell are he talking about? But sometimes we got to, again, think deeper than the surface level. Because I'm looking at this, we're still pumping oil, right? We're still in business with big oil. Look at this, planned substantial oil production cut to prop up prices, right? They're about to raise the prices on oil. OPSEC will consider output cut of more than 1 million barrels. We're still pumping barrels of oil. And of course we have to, because that's the industry we're in. But what I'm saying is when you look at some of the economics when it comes to the oil industry, they haven't slowed down pumping oil. They've been pumping up oil. And here's another thing. At the end of the day, we still have a large reserve of oil, and we are still increasing our reserves. I do understand that there's a lot of us, especially old people, they don't want all the new technology in cars. Like, my car can drive itself, right? Ever so often I have to touch the wheel, but it navigates through the lanes by itself, comes up on a vehicle, it slows down by itself, the vehicle leaves, it speeds up. It does all those things by itself, right? Nice car. But at any time, they can send a signal and stop my car, shut it down, lock me in. Technology is a blessing and a curse, in my opinion, because I love technology. I love the advancements of electronics, etc. But then there is a dangerous side to it. That's just like me with my car. I can do everything from my phone. I can start it. I can put on the AC. I can back it up. I can move it forward. I can park it. I can get out my car, hit a button, boom, it parks itself, right? All that from my phone. Now, picture if they embed me with a chip. You know what I'm getting at with that, family. But I'm just saying, sometimes I like to go certain levels because we're not understanding the connection between all of these things occurring. Like, oh, yeah, I want an electric. Because my wife, she wanted an electric vehicle. I said, babe, why would we get an electric vehicle? There's no infrastructure. Oh, well, I like them. And no, honey. Then she's on her Jeep kick now. I just say, I want a hybrid. Tesla delivered 343,000 cars in the third quarter, falling short of forecasts. Teslas, I'm telling you, I see more Teslas on the road than anything else. We haven't talked about Bitcoin in a while, have we? Exactly. Bitcoin price starts October down 0.7 amid hope for final 20K push. And for some reason, we're continuing to spend billions of dollars going into space. And granted, family, when we go into space, we're always learning new things about the Earth, the atmospheres, because I think there's 4 levels of the atmosphere. New technological advances in science because of us operating in space. New algorithms to do all sorts of, crazy and fun and wild things with technology, all from just traveling to space. All from traveling from space. Because at the end of the day, the only reason why we go to space is because man cannot fathom forever, endless, infinite, infinity. We can't fathom that. You're telling me that space is infinite, that there's no end? Because that's essentially what drove us to leave the Earth. We was like, hold up. If we travel in one direction in Earth, laterally, horizontally, we can never leave the earth. Oh, there's some sort of gravitational magnetic pull that prevents us from going outside the earth sideways. Because at one point in time, we thought earth was endless. And then by them doing multiple trips around the world, uh, science experiments, running their hypothesis and thesis and whatever they're doing, right? They realize that if we keep flying, we keep circling around because of the X and Y axis of the earth and how it rotates, right? And some sort of magnetic gravitational pull, whatever. Then say, okay, we need to go straight up. And we started to magnify space and look through telescopes, etc., and found out that Earth does end beyond these different layers of the atmosphere. And now we're in space. And that's why we're doing all these tests. And supposedly we have these high-power telescopes that can look a universe. I don't know how you can look through a universe, but we have all these different planets. The problem with this is I know a little bit of information about it to be stupid about it. We have all these mega planets that they're stating have the same elements and properties of Earth, but they're taking a trillion, gazillion light years to get there, and you will never make it. You will die on the journey. I'm almost certain that we have the technology to send spaceship with multiple probes to travel to these different worlds. And unfortunately, we won't see it in our lifetime, but I think it's already been done. Because right now they're studying technology where the spaceship with all these different probes, how will it be fueled and charged to travel this long distance? And now they're looking for different suns that could solar power to bring it to the next, like a fueling stations along the way. Like in the military, you have all these aerospatial missions where there's a fueler at this latitude and longitude, and we have to do all these exercises. And there's another fueler at this latitude and longitude, and they're going to figure out where all these different suns at, so they can power this spaceship with all these different probes to travel light years. Now, here's my thing: if they can travel light years, it's only machinery, right? It's not going to be a human being, so you can defy speed in a sense where a human being wouldn't be able to take it, but machinery can. Guess who's putting all this technology into space? You about to get the connection, aren't you? Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, the richest men on earth. And of course, I'm pretty sure Richard Branson is up there with them because he's already started the shuttle missions so you can orbit Earth and see Earth from. Look, I guess if I had the money where I was like stupid rich, like a billionaire, I guess I would orbit the Earth for $250,000. I guess, maybe, right? One in a lifetime. Take my wife on a date, babe. You trying to go to space and orbit the Earth? Sure. I'm this clowning family. Jay Darnell says the vac has already begun. I see we got Red Wine Entertainment. How you doing, sister? You haven't seen you in a while. Had the gas prices gone down where you live? Absolutely. The gas prices here as of late was $2.88. Focus Willis says it seems like science is the true power. Indeed. And that's what you see. Now, I don't want you guys to make any connection with this, but I'm going to just say it. Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos have space companies. Bill Gates owns majority of the farmland next to the Chinese in America. In some countries around the world, people are getting microchipped. They can control your car by sending a signal from a satellite. And it really doesn't matter what car you have. If you have a car, I would like to believe from the year 2015, I'm pretty sure it goes a little bit further in the past than that, but I'm just going to pick 2015. You got OnStar, they can control your vehicle. It don't matter what vehicle you have, they control your vehicle by some sort of satellite signal. They can speed it up, break it, slow it down, roll down your windows. So they essentially control your car. Why would Elon Musk want to colonize Mars? Mars has been known as the red planet, where it's just a big rock. But just like they did in Dubai, a bunch of rich people got together. Listen, family, a bunch of rich people got together, went into the desert and built utopias. They built their own waterways. They built cities, anything that did not exist. I want you to research Dubai. They built everything from scratch in the desert where there's nothing living. They even have the, remember the apparatus that Elon Musk, I call it loop circle or loop. I forgot the name, family. Help me out with this. Where they travel in the tunnels, either with your car in the pod, but Richard Branson actually made the first one. And he has contracts over in Dubai about this. You see how I'm putting these things together, because on one end of the spectrum, you have Elon Musk with electrical cars and this, that, and the other, but he's a South African who actually was co-owner of PayPal. And he wants to colonize Mars and basically build with the sheiks in Dubai built there, that massive city. And I'm just looking up the name of that thing. I just want to, it says that Elon Musk is building a Tesla tunnel under Las Vegas. Okay. And you guys are familiar with this, right? Remember this, family? Where you can drive your car through the tunnels. He wanted to do this under California because the traffic is horrendous, just as well as DMV. All major cities have horrible traffic, right? But they also made, I forgot what they call it, the Hyperloop. That's what they call it, family. The Hyperloop in Dubai. Let me look that up very quickly. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this. The Hyperloop, Virgin Hyperloop. And this was a concept that Elon Musk made, but he told Richard Branson, yeah, go ahead and run with it. I don't care, right? Let me write in Dubai. And they're going to have the same Hyperloop on Mars, supposedly. So here we go. As I was telling you before, this is Richard Branson company. He's British, by the way, if you didn't know. He owns Virgin. The only company in the world that has successfully tested Hyperloop technology with passengers, launching the first new mode of mass transportation. Okay. It says all about the Dubai Virgin Hyperloop 1 project. So these things are already underway. Okay. These are not conspiracy theory. This is technology at its best. And hopefully I've given you some receipts here for you guys can make the connection on how basic there's a couple of few people that really runs the world. Let's look up Bill Gates real quick. Bill Gates farmland. That's what there we go. So I can kind of back up some of the things. It says, why is Bill Gates buying farmland? It says pessimistic conspiracy theories abound, but Bill Gates, America's largest farmland owner, as I told you before. And also, what you guys don't know about Bill Gates is that he got with some inventors, and I don't know the African countries, but I can look up this story as well. All that's going to come up. That he built some sort of apparatus that is a porta potty, right? You go in, he took these areas of Africa that didn't have adequate, sewage and drainage, as well as adequate bathrooms. And you go in there and you take a dump, and then you can drink the water from the doo-doo. Technology. You guys want me to look that up? Y'all want me to look? I want to look it up so you guys. I want to look this up so you guys can see this. So let's look at this together. I'm gonna pop this up very quickly. Give me a second here, family.
Hi guys, Max.
All right, let me pause this very quickly. And hopefully you guys can hear this. All right, here we go. All right, let me know if you guys can hear this, but I'm gonna let this play.
Over here for IGN News. As part of his humanitarian work, Bill Gates has...
Okay, I see him having, again, technical difficulties. But basically, it says Bill Gates drinks poop water. That's because he built these apparatuses, again, that are like porta potties. You go in, you use the bathroom, and then somehow through transfusion, it extracts the water and then filtrates the water, and then you can drink it. So he was solving two problems at once. Adequate bathrooms in these areas where people just was using the bathroom in the street, by their house, in buckets, and they had a water crisis where they didn't have fresh water, right? They had to go to the ocean, boil the water. So he's solving all these problems with one machine. And then he, of course, just like any other rich person on TV, they showed him drinking the water right from the machine. It's kind of like when Barack Obama drank the water in Flint, Michigan. He was telling the American people that this is water from Flint, Michigan. But there's still news stories, family, that the water in Flint, Michigan is still contaminated. The water in Flint, Michigan today is still contaminated. But supposedly he drank some water from Flint, Michigan. Again, I want to look up this story very quickly just to kind of show you the headlines. And of course, you can go read it for yourself, family. So Politico is stating, Flint has clean water now. Why won't people drink it? Can I tell you guys something, family, about water? I kind of broke this down. A lot of these pollution of the city water, or where a lot of Black people are living at and their water is contaminated, they have this chemical called Forever chemical. And Forever chemical is forever. There's really nothing you can do to get rid of it. Let me look up Forever chemicals very quickly so we can kind of go over this together. All right. Forever chemicals in water. It says a class of synthetic chemicals used in the manufacture of consumer products can linger permanently in the air, water, and soil permanently, which is why they're often referred to as forever chemicals. Okay, so now that we have that, and we looked at, they had traces of lead and forever chemicals in the Flint, Michigan water crisis. How can that be safe to drink? And then some of you are going to say, well, they probably sanitized, cleaned, replaced some of the key components, so these forever chemicals won't affect the water. Well, family, everywhere that water ran through, every pipe, every tube, every machine, every apparatus, every filter have forever chemicals. So they will be forever part of that machinery unless they replace the entire water filtration system of Flint, Michigan, just like some other U.S. cities I went over the other day. And the report was only about 12 of them, but I heard it's damn near a third of America, not states, but cities, a third of American cities, small ones, majority of them are black. DC has polluted water. And here's the thing about that, family. Growing up in Washington, D.C., I drunk tap water. We probably didn't start drinking bottled water until our early 20s when it became very popular. But other than that, we all were drinking tap water. We didn't boil that water. We went right up to the sink, turned on the tap water, and drank a glass of water. I'm referring to D.C. So when I see this, family, and then you read what made the water polluted, what made the water contaminated, and you see PFAS or you see forever chemicals, then no, in order to eradicate that, unless they have some infrared high fusion where they can actually destroy the molecules of forever chemicals, then they have to replace the whole water filtration system. All right. Mommy, this water has a funny taste. Yes, son, that's called lead. Oh, okay. What's going on, Stonks and Chomps? Nice to see you. I'm doing excellent. Thank you. We're just chopping up, going over news stories. We're talking about random things here. We're just having a good time. Pop in, pop out, alert your friends, share on your social media sites. Some things are going to tantalize your intellectual thought. Then some is going to vibrate to the lower echelons of your brain matter. I got these words and I have to use them somehow. But anyway, while I'm moving to Arizona and living off a well, wow. I'm going to help her out, guys. Don't worry about it. I'm going to help her out. Hold on. Sister, that's probably one of the best waters you can buy somewhat. Why am I stating? Not buy, but use. Why am I saying that? I would definitely tell you to look at the history of the land in which the well dwells. You see how I did that? Well dwells. Anyway, only because we've been using all sorts of fertilizers that have destroyed the soil. And that fertilizer, believe it or not, family, it seeps down into the earth and contaminates your well water. It does. So you have to look at that too. So do your history on the land in which you're getting your well water from. It's just like if freshwater ponds, a lot of chemical companies in the past, and I'm pretty sure they do it on some level today, they go out and they pollute because it's near their organization or company or their factories and pollute fresh water. And some people are like, oh no, that's just isolated in that one area. No, don't forget, family, that water is swooshing and washing and seeping into the soil. So it's contaminating not only the soil in that area, but other water tables that may be connected to it. This is just basic science, right? Or this is basic common sense. That's why if you use weed killer, right, you spray it in one spot, it's going to kill all the grass in that one spot because it's going into the roots and it's killing it. But that weed killer, depending on the soil, it may regenerate itself and repair itself and grow back after quite some time. But just like anything else, it still has a level of contamination on it. So again, be careful if you're drinking well water, tap water, even bottled water companies. To a certain degree, they did a documentary on how they were being very fraudulent. A lot of these companies were just taking tap water and balling up and make it look good. And some of them were just taking tap water and filtering the water. Okay. Now, a lot of times when you call out companies by name, you get a YouTube strike. So I won't do that. I'll refrain from that today. But quite frankly, there's still the water is still contaminated. You see the conflicting stories here? This story by Politico back in 2020 says that the water is clean. Here's a story by Capital B News, and it states that Flint, Michigan still doesn't have clean water. And that's dated from May 25th of this year. Let me see what you guys got going on. Some says they have their property. It is off an Indian reservation, so the land is mint. Okay. All right. Just make sure you just do your due diligence. That's all. And can we go back to Elon Musk? And again, I would never bash the richest man in America because, again, he figured out the system, the white supremacy, and knew how to operate it to be the richest man. But it states here that Elon Musk's Tesla robot needs help walking. He said Tesla needs help improving it. Elon Musk, a bit of advice, sir. Honda already has robots walking, running, jumping, flipping, or go to Boston Robotics. Boston Robotics got the little robot dog that they actually use a version of that inside of that show called The War of Worlds, where the robot dogs had some sort of machine gun and brain puncture device on the end of it. Did y'all see War of Worlds? It has 3 seasons out, and it's the same configuration of the Boston Robotics dog. I know, right? It's a lot going on in the world. Let me see if I can just say this. Keyboard. There we go. Boston Robotic dog. Okay, we should be able to see some images here. And if you saw that, if you see, let's go back here. And if you guys seen that show, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. But here's another thing. Other companies are now making them. Trossin Robotics. You can buy this one for under $1,000. And it says robotic dog. Let's go to Amazon. Hopefully all these things are connecting to you. And again, we're just covering the news with a little of my conjecture and input and how things are operating in the world. And again, unfortunately, family, I had the Flintstones internet service, so that's why it's so slow. Focus Willis said, just lying for no reason. K-Dub. In the Caribbean, they use above ground 100-gallon plastic tanks. I prefer that over well water. Well, here's the thing about that, K-Dub. They're using plastic containers above ground with water. Does anybody know the components of plastic? Well, I'm gonna search it up for you, and I'm gonna let K-Dub know that water that's above ground in those plastic containers are not safe to drink. Meaning that over a course of time, they're going to degrade the quality of the water. And if they degrade, where you think the plastic is being degraded into? It just doesn't evaporate, right? And let me show you this very quickly. Biodegradable plastics are plastics that can be decomposed by the action of living organisms, usually microbes, into water, carbon dioxide, and biomass. And so a lot of these things are recycled plastic that we're now using to reduce the amount of plastic we're using in the environment. So majority of plastics, and even regular plastic with epoxy, is degradable by the sun. It won't totally evaporate, but it does slowly degrade. It degrades after like 100 some odd years, degrades into water. Then it says here, Wikipedia, which I don't really go by, many plastics do not biodegrade to any significant degree, regardless of environmental conditions, while some do so very slowly if exposed to air and water. So again, KW, you have to figure out what doesn't degrade under sun? K-Dub says PVC. Okay. I was planning on going to school for robotics or electrical engineering. Not too many blacks are in it, I think. You should definitely go to school for robotics. And matter of fact, we told our son that when you go to school, it's going to be in some sort of electrical engineer, IT, data scientist, something like that. Because family, technology is probably 50% of our economy. But eventually, technology is going to be around 70% of our economy. Because when it comes to automation, when somebody says, oh, we're increasing our automation systems, that's all technology. That's all AI. That's what automation is. When things are automatically done for you. Like take, for instance, in my house, I made this house a smart house. So maybe I can, the house can be controlled by some outside hackers. But anyway, I built a smart house and things are automated. Every day at noon, all my ceiling fans, all 10 of my ceiling fans come on. Certain times of the night, lights shut off, the fireplace light comes on. They have a night light as we're, going throughout the house. At a certain time, the garage lights come on. This is a form of automation. This is a form of technology and AI on a very basic level because it's only doing one or two functions, right? So who knows how many lines of code that may be. And then last but not least here, it says notable bio-based and biodegradable plastics are PHAs, I don't know how to pronounce that word, and polactic acid. So again, when it comes to water family, just be very cognizant of how and where you're getting your water from because there's a lot of polluted water around America, okay? And when it comes to these water companies, you have to do your research on these water companies. Have you noticed that's that one water company? It has somewhat of gray marketing on the bottle, but it's glass. And they was talking about how it's not safe for the planet, one. Then two, that plastic degrades in water. And they was only doing glass bottles, and their sales decreased because the cost of it was a lot more because it takes more resources and takes more money to actually build glass versus plastic, right? Then if you look at that company today, majority of their water are now in plastic bottles because at the end of the day, everything reverts back to money. Everything. And if you notice, if you go to Whole Foods sometimes, they actually have these niche water companies, about 2 gallons are in glass because a lot of these companies knows that plastic degrades in water. So just be very aware of that, okay? Now, this information I'm giving you, family, is stuff that I've researched before, and my wife like, why are you reading about that? I'm just curious about a bunch of stuff. Let's continue on. I'm almost done here, family. We're a little bit over an hour here, so I'm almost done here. Disney Channel includes ESPN no longer on Dish Network due to contract dispute. Oh, all right, okay. Disney is a large conglomerate company worth trillions of dollars. They own so many organizations. You will have to do the research on that as well. Now, United Airlines suspending service at JFK Airport. I wonder why. United Airlines cutting 12 routes from several major air hubs. Could this be the fall of United Airlines? Now, I know a lot of airlines are regional, but majority of the airlines that I've taken here in the past 10 years has been Delta, Southwest, Alaska, and American Airlines. I think I took a United Airlines flight maybe about 15 to 20 years ago. So that company is slowly going under, okay? Somebody may buy them out. I don't know. Rite Aid exec reports $5 million in loss from New York City shoplifting. Here's the thing, family. When you look at stories like this, some of you may go right into that these hoodlums, these and I don't mean hoodlums as in black people. I mean hoodlums as in everybody that's going in and stealing prescription drugs, over-the-counter medicines, random things from Rite Aid, which is hurting the company. Question: if prescription drugs, over-the-counter medicines were affordable for the low impoverished, those who are earning low income salaries, those who are making under $45,000 a year, do you think they would be raiding the stores? Because here's the thing, a lot of Americans with expensive medicine, they go to South America, they go to Mexico, some of them even go to Cuba to get medicines very cheaply, then they travel back. Like, you got to go to Guatemala, Colombia, then go to Cuba, then Cuba to South America, then back to America, right? All to get medicine, all to get affordable medicine. And this is what I learned in the military. I will get a prescription drug, and on my bill, it will say that this drug, this medicine is $250. But TRICARE or the military health care is only going to pay $15. You're like, wait a minute. How is the government undercutting private businesses who are making these pharmaceutical drugs? How's the military doing this? Because the military is probably paying the true price, meaning that once they build up because I know it takes money to generate, the manufacturing, distribution lines. I understand business, okay? I understand how it's connected. But once they build the infrastructure, the manufacturing, distribution, logistics, and running the medicines to all different types of clinics and hospitals and convenience stores, et cetera, right? Medicines, once they produce the chemical and start to form these in pills, is not that expensive. So take, for instance, now, because the industry is already built, it only really takes us, let's say aspirin, to make a bottle of aspirin, 50 aspirins, let's say it takes $4. But the military paid $15, but because of they're supporting the infrastructure, you got to have operating costs. Okay, so you have to put that inside of your annual budget for organization, how much it's going to cost you to operate your business, to maintenance your equipment, to pay the drivers. You get what I'm getting at, right? It's a lot there. So it takes you $4 to build a bottle of 30 aspirin. Military is going to pay $15, but you as a consumer, as the customer, under your insurance plan, going to pay $250. Then that drives up your insurance premiums, your medical insurance premiums, when you have to have these pills daily or weekly or however you take these, prescription drugs. You see how that works? So people want health insurance just in case things happen. You're not going to the doctor if you get the cold. You're only going to go there if something very severe, like a broken leg, or you have a heart condition, or you found out that you had some sort of disease or condition. You're not going to the doctor for each and everything because it's too damn expensive. You have copay, right? You have the monthly amount that you pay. And if you make so many inquiries going to urgent care or the hospital, is going to drive up your price. You're going to drive up your cost monthly. So you refrain from that. You start taking home remedies. Oh, I need some emergency. Oh, I need some Alka-Seltzer. I need some Bayer. I need some cold and flu medicine, etc. Right? All these things are interconnected, believe it or not. And here's another thing. The most valuable company, if you would say, hey, who would you invest in right now? I hate to say it, but I would probably pick Amazon. Amazon has their hand in everything. They have their hand in the food industry. They have their hand in the technological space. They have their hand in logistics. And then everything that I'm naming are intertwined to one another. Amazon first started off as a technological company that happened to sell books. But some people thought that Amazon started off as an online book company that kind of dove into technology later. No, there was a video that came out that Bill Gates made back in the late 80s, early 90s, stating that no, we are a technology company that sells books online. So he already knew the plan for the company, right? So again, when we look at these things, I make the connection. It's not about conspiracy theories. It's just about understanding how the economy works, who essentially runs the economy. Because at the end of the day, no businessman in America can do nothing without being involved in politics some way, somehow. Because I told you in the beginning of this video that politics is a level of corruption that wears white shirts, where the black market or the other part of politics that didn't agree with the ones where they wear white shirts, and those guys wear purple shirts or black shirts or whatever shirts you want, but they wear the opposite of what those who are in power wear, and they simply don't agree. But politics is corrupt, and corruption is politics. Every great nation in the world, family, we've seen this time and time again. If you guys know anything about history, and I know one of the most, I guess, well-known governments is the Roman Empire. And we mimic the Roman Empire. We do. We mimic the Roman Empire step for step on how they rose to power. They was in power, the most powerful nation in the world. And because of war and a financial crisis, they failed. War and finances. I did some videos on how this is the falling of a great empire. Can it be stopped? Of course it can. But the question is, will they stop corruption? Meaning, will they end politics and revamp it as we know it? Absolutely not. There's too many people involved. There's too many people getting rich. But they'll have you and I at each other's throats, stating that you're a liberal, I'm a conservative. You're a Democrat, I'm a Republican. You live in a red state, I live in a blue state. They understand the terminology of divide and conquer. And while you guys are toying over who's the best candidate, what's the best party, what's best for America, those guys are sitting back, drinking the finest wines and scotch that man can buy, and you're toiling over what party is the best. There's no clean winner, family, especially not you and I. And for today, family, that's the news. I'm going to read some of your notes and I'm going to get out of here. Austin John says, I'm a teacher. My son coding already. He is 3. My son actually took a coding class last year. Blockchain is the future. Eventually, when they stop suppressing cryptocurrencies and blockchain, I know blockchain is a level of security for cryptocurrencies, but when they really stop suppressing, the cryptocurrency space and all, blockchain is the future and will be the future. A matter of fact, not only is it the future, Stonks and Chomps, but it is also the present. Because if you look up IBM, they're already using blockchain technology. There's a lot of companies already using blockchain technologies. Okay. Grandparents' insurance company pays them to go to Mexico because it's cheaper, and they live, they live in Arizona as well. Tucson. Thank you, Stonks and Chomps. Because I think a lot of times when people hear new information or information they don't necessarily agree with, they think it's propaganda. They think it's lies. They think it's conspiracy theories. No, it's not. This is the way this world works. I just want to pop that up again because their insurance company pays them to go to Mexico because the flight or the drive to Mexico and buying the medicine and coming back is cheaper than them getting medicine from an American pharmaceutical company. Got to be more careful. Think how easy it would be to buy a house or car using NFT or blockchain technology. That's a whole different conversation because I know about the non-fungible tokens. as an investor, believe me, I understand the power of blockchain and the cryptocurrency markets. And believe me, governments around the world, not all, some of them are supporting it, but governments around the world are suppressing the cryptocurrency space because they know of the freedom that the people will have in it. You guys have a great and wonderful Sunday. I'm about to watch this 8 o'clock game, family. I'm out. I thought I hit end broadcast, and usually I just stare in the camera and it goes